Hi, I'm Bryant Dillon. I am co-founder and president of Fanbase Press. I'm also a co-writer of Something Animal, the writer of Identity Thief, and one of the writers on the Odds audio drama.
Hi, I'm John Bring. I am a writer and an illustrator on Penguins vs. Possums.
Hi, my name is Sebastian Kadlicik, and I am the creator, one of the writers, one of the illustrators on Penguins vs. Possums.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Calhoun Bring, and I am a writer on Penguins vs. Possums.
Hi, my name is Stefano Terry, and I'm the creator, writer, artist of The Gamma Gals.
My name is Sebastian Kadlicik, and I'm the creator of Quince.
My name is Kit Steinkellner, and I'm the writer of Quince.
And I'm Emma Steinkellner, and I'm the illustrator of Quince.
My advice for somebody who might want to actually start a comic book and tell their own story is what my high school football coach always said, which is nothing to it but to do it. The tools are out there. If you have an idea, there's so many ways that you can do it. The key is to just not be afraid to put yourself out there and just to, it's sort of what we were saying about what makes this book special. We enjoy it, so we knew other people would enjoy it. And I feel like that is, that carries through to all art. Like, don't worry about what you think someone will feel. As long as you enjoy it, somebody else will.
For those who are interested in writing or creating their own comic book, I think really the big thing is to not hold yourself back. There are many resources out there that you can look up that will speak to how to write for sequential art, or how to write specifically maybe for the genre that you are interested in exploring. But one of the biggest stumbling blocks that I personally have had, and I've seen my peers struggle with, is feeling like, oh, my writing has to be at a certain level before I can share it, before I can work on this comic that I have an idea for. And more often than not, the way that you get there is by constantly creating, constantly putting stuff out there. Doesn't mean that you have to publish everything or that you have to take it all the way, but you need to finish things. When you finally get someone who is interested in something that you've created, you want to be able to show them whatever you have when they say, what else have you been worked on? So I would say definitely don't put the brakes on. Start writing, whatever it may be. If it's a short story, it's a scene, it's just a few lines, whatever you can, get that down on paper and work from there.
I think with writing, almost more than any other medium, what's special about it is that it's free. It doesn't cost anything. For you to take some time and think about story, for you to sketch on a sheet of paper. So to not be intimidated by what that final product is. Don't be intimidated by all the steps it's going to take to actually get something made, so that you talk yourself out of starting it, because it really does start with a story and a concept. So just jump in and jot your ideas out and let them form and go from there. Take it step by step.
So if you have an idea and you want to turn it into a comic book, there's a few ways. One, just doing it. I think starting something, getting that idea down, is the best way to begin, because there's a lot of people that have ideas, they kick them around forever and they never do anything with them. There's also people that start comic books and they maybe do part of an issue or whatever and they give up. So if you are able to start getting the ball rolling for yourself, that's definitely an important first step. If you are not a writer or you're not an illustrator and you just have a good idea for something, then I would say build that idea, find out who could add to it, find out other people that are working in comic books, or go to comic book conventions, go to signings, go to drink and draws or coffee and comics. Just meet as many people as possible so you can become familiar with their work. A lot of people are willing to share their work with you. And I think, I'll hand this off now, but I think as a writer, illustrator, or anything, you also need to have work to show people. And I'll pass it off to you.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm just putting myself in the position of having not ever written a comic and really wanting to. I mean, I can go back to when Emma and I started a webcomic. I wrote a ton of it ahead of time. We tried to stockpile a bunch before we ever released it. Our webcomic didn't really have an end point, which made it tricky. Quince, the nice thing about Quince was it was a limited series, and so it was manageable. So I will say, there's something to be said for, if your idea supports this, creating a limited version of it, a real beginning, middle, end, almost like a first season of television where it feels satisfying. But at the same time, if you potentially do want to do more of that project, leaving that back door open so it feels like there is more story to tell. But I'd say, yeah, just really writing, as a writer, writing those scripts. I'd probably put together a couple pages on the world of the comic, and just a sales tool, essentially, in addition to whatever you write, if you're looking for an artist, a publisher, what have you. And I guess the last thing I'll say is, I think passion is a lot of it. I think passion is contagious, and I think there's a danger of hiding your light under a bushel and sort of underselling yourself and your excitement about your project because you don't want to overwhelm people, or if you get rejected, you don't want to, feel hurt in a way that you may feel less hurt if you protected yourself a little more. But I will say that I think creating art is risky and bold, and you do want to put yourself on the line. So if, really wait for that idea, play around with ideas, and wait for that idea that you are over the moon passionate about, and then be very clear about your passion with the people that you are looking to work with.
Let's see, when it comes to writing, for me, the easiest way I go about it is just trying to have a clear idea of the story you want to tell, and then taking as many notes as possible. Research is always fun. I actually like that part the most. I like doing the research, because usually when I'm doing research, you actually find a lot of little kind of tidbits and nuggets about whatever it is you're researching that could springboard a lot of stories from it. So I always love doing research about that kind of stuff. And I usually just have note cards of, kind of a rough plot line of what the overall story is going to be. And then I break it down to the individual issues and what's going to be this issue and, that story beat, or, plot lines, even if it's just ideas. Sometimes I even just come up with scenes that I would like to see in my book, and then I'll jot them down and kind of keep them in a little separate folder so I could kind of, see if I could find a way to put them into the book at some point. But really it's just being persistent and being, not being afraid to just write what you're feeling in the moment, set it aside. I usually set it aside for a few months, and then I come back, I reread it some more, and then, do the editing and stuff. It usually takes me kind of a few months process before I get the story written to the point where I'm I'm ready to write this and ready to move on to the drawing stage of it.